college football, as you've seen in the mainstream media headlines over the last week or so, and even now, today, right? This is just ongoing situations with coaches coming and going. That's the first thing when it comes to motivation. There's different tentacles of motivation, but the first thing is just about these coaches. I'm not just talking about head coaches either. Those are the guys who grab the headlines. There's also motivation, though, when it comes to the kids beyond the coaches themselves. And this is, again, very specific to not only college football, but specifically to college football bowl season. These kids, let's take a team that hoped for the national championship semifinals, whatever team that might be, that hoped for a New Year's Day bowl, and through a series of circumstances, maybe a late season loss, ended up going to, I don't know, bowls on this level of the Holiday Bowl, the Blue Bonnet Bowl, for those of you who were around at a certain time, a lesser bowl, you get what I mean, a pre-New Year's Day bowl, and they were hoping for so much more. Well, their motivation, no matter what they say, is going to be far less than it otherwise would have been had they gotten to where they wanted to go to. So there's a lot of that that takes place. By the way, that works in the converse, too. There's going to be a lot of schools that for the first time, they're on a national stage or a bigger stage than they expected. Those kids probably revved up more than they otherwise would have been. But last year was finally the moment where big-time college football players who are headed to the NFL draft said to themselves, you know what? It is not worth it to me to play in this game. If I'm not playing for a national championship, what the heck am I doing risking millions of dollars playing in a meaningless bowl game? We saw it with Leonard Fournette, famously with LSU last year. That didn't seem to hurt Leonard Fournette as he made the rise to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not like they drafted him any lower. Leonard Fournette, happy to be healthy in the draft. Christian McCaffrey, of course, for Stanford, who, in my opinion, got snubbed for a Heisman Trophy his junior year. Finally, in his senior year, Stanford, not in a national championship semifinal situation. He's like, you know what? I'm sitting it out. Good for Christian McCaffrey. As I said then, and I'll say now, I'm surprised it doesn't happen more often. Well, we're now starting to see it. Derwin James, safety, standout safety for Florida State. Obviously, his head coach, Jimbo Fisher, out the door, headed to Texas A&M. Willie Taggart coming in. None of that would have mattered anyway, probably, for a guy like Derwin James, who's like, deuces, I'm out. I'm not playing in this game. You know why? Because I'm going to play on Sundays. Location is an issue with college football bowls. There's all kinds of strange tenets. And you say, what do you mean location? Yes, there's some home-ish game, de facto home game situations. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to sites that perhaps might distract kids who are playing in an otherwise meaningless bowl game. For instance, por ejemplo, the Las Vegas Bowl, the Bahamas Bowl. Hey, if I'm a 20-year-old and I'm going to the Bahamas, I may not care just as much. So there are all kinds of location issues you have to think about as well, venues. And then, of course, there's just strength of schedule. I won't even say strength of schedule. I'll say a difference between conferences. If a team from the Big Ten is playing a team from the Mountain West, or a team from the Pac-12 is playing a team like the Mountain West, like we have in the Las Vegas Bowl this year between Oregon and Boise State, what is the handicap of the actual strength of conference and the strength of schedules that are associated with those teams? Now, obviously, we have situations like that during the regular season, but not nearly as frequently as we will now have in a condensed college football bowl season. So you have to make that assessment as well. Yeah, maybe they're the best team in this conference, and maybe they're playing an also-ran in a big-time conference. What does that really mean? Is the big-time team, or the team that won their lesser conference, a paper tiger, in essence, when they go up against a middling big conference school, or do you view it the other way? All of those things factored into college football bowl season. Is a very unique time of year,